Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm here with Dr. Jessica Liu, and she's going to be talking about her upcoming ATD Greater Philadelphia session on turn resistance to change into a strength by traversing the gates of grief.
Thank you so much. Um, yeah, I've been thinking a lot and noticing that in our current environment, change feels like the one dialogue that is both so common and so normed, and there's so many different ways in which people experience all the change, right, that's been happening, even if it is positive. And one of the things I really felt compelled to want to do was to kind of give light to the ways in which change, again, even if it is positive change, be it our routine, a sense of certainty, a sense of identity, actually includes a component that we don't often talk about, which really is about the loss, right, that happens in that space. And that perhaps what could be the undercurrent of that is a sentiment of grief, even if we don't think about it that way because of how society tends to think about grief, and really wanting to introduce a different way for people to experience and navigate their change, by introducing this framework around the gates of grief.
And why do you think that people struggle with change or transition?
Yeah, that's a really good question, right? Why do people struggle with change or experience resistance to change? And one of the ways in which I like to actually think about this is, my interpretation of it is oftentimes when people do experience change, sometimes what happens at a undercurrent is that there's this expectation for how they should be navigating the change, right? Maybe they need to be okay with it, maybe they need to be fine with it, or they're not fine with it. There's a whole internal process that happens on top of the actual change context and situation in and of itself. So really part of the session is introducing people or inviting them to relate with their change in a different way, that even if there is a struggle or even if there is a sense of resistance, to kind of begin to connect with, maybe this struggle, resistance, or fear of change might actually be related to unprocessed grief.
Think would benefit the most from attending your session?
Yeah, that's a great question. First thing that comes to mind is honestly, it's an open and welcome space for anybody who's navigated change or will and, is going through that. But of specificity, what comes to mind is in this current work environment with so many different things happening and changes in organizations and policies and team structures, whether it be layoffs or the shrinking of teams or people transitioning in roles or their scope of their roles changing, or people simply trying to look for a job. In particular, navigating this topic and thinking about the change that it calls people into, and journeying with that in this framework could be really, really helpful for an audience like that.
Well, thank you for joining me today, and I'm really excited about your session.
Yeah, likewise. I look forward to tuning in and meeting folks on June 2nd and joining us for the talk of turn resistance to change into a strength by traversing the gates of grief. Look forward to traversing with you all together in community.